Here's the story from Blast, I guess, republished by Y Entertainment. Chaos ensues backstage at Jimmy Kimmel Live hours ahead of filming. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that Next Star stations are joining Sinclair. They will not air Jimmy Kimmel. They are preempting the show, which basically means that instead of just taking on what ABC is sending to them, they are going to put something else in its place. And they're saying it's going to be news coverage, but this is where it gets crazy. Yahoo reporting Jimmy Kimmel's return to late-night TV has allegedly sparked major backstage drama, with producers and writers reportedly panicking just hours before filming. The comedian is set to return to Jimmy Kimmel Live after a week-long suspension over his controversial comments about Charlie Kirk's assassination. But insiders say no one knows what he'll say in his comeback monologue, causing chaos, and some staffers are threatening to walk out if he apologizes. That's crazy. Now, the reporting we got before was that he will not apologize, but we'll see. According to the Daily Mail, the chaos erupted backstage on Tuesday as staff expressed frustration over being left out of the decision-making process. Executive producers have reportedly clamped down, ordering team members not to discuss Kimmel's monologue, which is expected to draw millions of viewers. The secrecy has only heightened tensions, with one insider warning that an apology could be viewed as a betrayal. No one knows what Jimmy is going to say, but there are rumblings that if he apologizes, there will be a walkout. If he grovels or falls on his sword, that's actually a betrayal to all of us. We were all in agreement about the things he said. If he walks them back, it would invalidate everything. Kimmel's controversial remarks, in which he accused the MAGA gang of spinning the suspect's political ties, drew sharp criticism and triggered a warning from FCC Chairman Brendan Carr. This we all know. Now, let me just stress this for the sake of this segment. I know I mentioned this in the intro, but initial reporting, Wall Street Journal and The Hollywood Reporter. Jimmy Kimmel will not apologize, would not apologize. Wall Street Journal said advertisers and affiliates were upset over the comments. They were insensitive. Jimmy Kimmel's statement insinuated the assassin was a Trump supporter when all evidence suggests he was actually left aligned. The executives, Bob Iger and Dana Walden, went to Jimmy Kimmel and said, hey, actually, you're fine. Initial reporting from the Daily Beast said they were actually on his side until Jimmy Kimmel said he was going to criticize MAGA for twisting his words. The executives feared that would make things worse. And considering the threats from advertisers and affiliates, as well as threats to their safety from threats they'd received, they thought it would be a bad idea to let Jimmy Kimmel go back on the air. Now, nowhere did they mention the FCC pressured them or anything like that. Now, Nexstar and Sinclair, the affiliates that threatened to preempt the show, are still doing it. Advertisers have updated us in no meaningful way, so it looks like nothing has changed except for one thing. From Mediaite, anti-Trump ABC shooter targeted Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, DOJ says, quote, they're next. Indeed, the anti-Trump gunman who fired several shots at a California ABC station left a handwritten note that he was targeting Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino. This, combined with the reporting that several ABC affiliates received threats of terror attacks, forcing Sinclair to pull their Charlie Kirk memorial, suggests Disney's only motivation in bringing back Jimmy Kimmel was the threat of death that their staff received from the left. And now here we are with them saying, do not apologize or we walk. I have no idea how this country heals. Now, I will say, obviously, when you go outside for the most part, you're not running into people who are hyper partisan or hyper polarized. But that was always the case with urban versus rural. In the conservative areas, they're conservative. In liberal areas, they're liberal, with some controversy happening where they would interact. I have no idea how, if this is where we're currently at, we come down from this, especially considering we are not even a full 2 weeks from the assassination of Charlie Kirk, as well as the terror attack on ABC happening just afterwards. Now we've got reports that Nick Shirley was attacked by Antifa in New York. Cam Higbee was attacked in, was it Tennessee?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
This is just, it's a holy crap moment. I don't know where we go next.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, I think that the reason why we're seeing the kind of the clash of cultures is because of the internet, right? Like you mentioned, there was a time when if you didn't actually live near people, you could maybe hear opinions you weren't super into on TV or whatever, but you could turn the TV off and, you know, they weren't constantly in your pocket, constantly being broadcast to you. And I feel like people that are honestly mentally unstable, or at least borderline, that kind of constant reminding that there are people out there that think very differently to you, and these people are going to be living their lives, and they're going to be trying to have their values expressed in their lives, really messes people up if they're mentally unhinged. And I think that's kind of where the left is at.
But this kind of political violence goes back a long way in American history. You've got Lee Harvey Oswald, this kid who sort of doesn't know what his views are. He's going to communism and he's going against it, and he's just a crazy radical guy. I know there's lots of conspiracies around JFK's death, but it's not just JFK, but also his brother. And then you've got Malcolm X, and then you've got Martin Luther King Jr. In the 60s. We had a huge amount of radicalization on both sides, and we didn't have the internet then. I think America has always had this almost a tradition of political violence that kind of goes in ebbs and flows, and seems to be going massively in the wrong direction now. And one thing I've observed since being here and moving to America, we were always told in Europe, in Britain, the crazy MAGA people, they're the radicals. They're the ones who are, completely deranged and violent. And then I came here and I was covering the election campaign last year, and I went to both the Kamala rallies and the Trump rallies. And people don't know who I am. People don't know who GB News is. They don't know what our political affiliation is. The Kamala people were so aggressive, were so like, who are you? Treating me like I was some kind of enemy. The Trump people, I have to say, on the whole, I had one incident in New York were some drunk guys, were a bit aggressive, but on the whole were, so welcoming.
You had to be drunk to be aggressive.
Exactly. They were having fun. And they hear the British accent, they're like, you're an enemy. But it's so interesting to see the left's political radicalization. They've had 10 years of being told Trump is Hitler, is a fascist, is a tyrant, is going to destroy democracy. So yeah, of course you've got these mentally ill people who believe it.
My favorite thing is I call this the ship of Theseus delusional state of the left. That is, every 7 years, every cell in your body has been changed, right? So that means every 7 years you're an entirely new person. That means these liberals, with 10 years of being inundated with fake news about Donald Trump and the right, are literally manifest of cells imbued with Trump hatred. It is the core of their very essence.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. It's like, if we could outsource this to the internet, say, okay, well, this is like, if you get off the internet, you unplug, then you won't have to deal with this, polarization. But the thing is, like you were saying, first of all, we have a long history of this. And then also, libs are getting hit at every tier, every form of media. They're getting hit with propaganda, whether it's print, like even just books. You can find at Barnes & Noble, you're going to find descriptions of Trump that are just outrageous, ridiculous. So it's like, no, this is just a containment breach where they are so overjoyed to see Charlie Kirk assassinated they can't contain themselves.
I just want to plead out there to all those liberals who may see this. Please look up Tylenol pregnancy on TikTok. When Donald Trump and RFK Jr. and the US FDA said there is a link found by Mount Sinai, Johns Hopkins, and Harvard, a link between Tylenol, acetaminophen, and autism, videos started to pop up of pregnant women taking Tylenol for literally no reason. In fact, one of the doctors even said, you can take it when you absolutely need to, just consider this. But because Trump said it, they start slamming Tylenol pills. And I think right there, if that is you, something is wrong. Something is very wrong. I know not every liberal is rushing out to do this, but it is insane to me that prominent liberals have come out and said Trump is a fascist, blaming women for autism when it's their own sperm. And I'm just like, okay. I get how psychotic that story is, but imagine how that instinctive gut reaction to anything Trump says manifests with stories like the Jimmy Kimmel stuff. A terrorist attacked an ABC station. Can we please stop this?
No, Tim, we can't.
Trump can. Antifa has been declared a terrorist organization, which is a meaningless legal distinction that doesn't have one. We'll see how what the reaction is from all of these major corporations, whether they take that seriously or not. But I believe that Trump is doing a trial balloon. And the Trump admin, and come on, Stephen Miller knows full well, they can file Antifa as a foreign terrorist organization, which is a legal distinction, and then it gets spicy. Because then YouTube is forced by law to ban any and all support for Antifa. They're legally required to. Right now, they're not. And I think Trump is going the domestic terror route with the executive order. It's a light touch to try and massage the culture so that when he does launch the FTO designation, it won't be shocking news.
Do you think, as supporters of the First Amendment, there's any kind of contradiction there where trying to ban Antifa or whatever? So it's obviously the violence is the issue.
Will Chamberlain changed my mind. I had been of the position that I thought was rather harsh, that we should not defend these people. I wouldn't advocate for them to be banned. They're allowed to have their opinions, but I will not defend them when they get censored. I changed my mind. Will Chamberlain changed my mind. He argued, I'm too nice, today on my Culture War interview with him, and that we must actively ban anyone who celebrates the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The reason is a society that venerates assassins is a society opening the door to civil war. And I will elaborate on his point because he's correct. What are we looking at? 10 months since the assassination of, I believe his name was Brian Thompson, right? Mm-hmm. Charlie Kirk is killed. They made saint candles of Luigi Mangione. Mm-hmm. They dance in front of his courtroom saying he's innocent. They say that he's innocent by way of doing the right thing in murdering a CEO of a corporation. Will is correct. And I will add, the people that are celebrating the assassination of Kirk don't really know or care. They're piling on to TikTok trends. Let's put a pressure on that and say, don't do it or you will be removed from these platforms. Like, no criminal charges or anything, but I explain it like this. There is a point at which all leaders, this is just standard moral philosophy, recognize there are extenuating circumstances where we must take action. Abraham Lincoln especially recognized this. We are not dealing with a stable modern society that doesn't have assassinations where something happens and some crazy people come out and cheer for it. Were it the case that there were 100,000 people in various cities that were holding up signs celebrating assassination, I'd be like, oof, I mean, that's getting dangerous, but scale matters. We're dealing with now millions, as well as high-profile prominent politicos and liberal pundits celebrating the assassination or defending it in some way. And if we allow this as a society, then we know what happens next. The person who kills the next conservative in their mind is saying, I don't care what conservatives think of me. Why? I don't hang out with conservatives. They don't pay my bills. They don't hire me for jobs. I hate them. The only thing they care about is whether they get support from the left. And if the left is celebrating and venerating assassins, these people are being told explicitly assassination is okay, and they will not only get away with it, but be rewarded for it.
Yeah. And it's not just assassinations the left are supporting. If they see a violent crime like the murder of that Ukrainian girl, some of them will just go and support the murderer. Like they set up a GoFundMe page for the murderer. And in other cases where the murderer is black and the victim is white, they'll instinctively support the murderer. Or, it's not just about the political thing. It's like, it's race and,
Have you ever been to Belfast?
No, I haven't actually, no.
I've only been there one time. I am far from an expert on the Troubles. But my tour guide, when I went and traveled there, the peace wall has Palestine on one side, Israel on the other. He showed me a memorial to men who massacred civilians. And it did not matter. I don't remember the exact story, but there was a memorial where apparently like 3 guys during the Troubles went into a civilian shopping area and just started gunning people down. And the people on the other side celebrated it saying, well, they're all evil, so what does it matter? And that's how insane things get. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.